Okay, I warn you now, this is going to be a very long video, and I'm going to try and put a lot of effort into this one, because I've been doing this brewing malarkey now for about 2.5 years, something like that. 3 years, I guess, 2.5, 3 years, whatever. And I've been experimenting with different methods of brewing in all of that time, and going from, well, you've only got to look at the past episodes that I've done to see the travel that I've gone through. But I think now I'm pretty well pleased. It sounds big-headed, I know, but I'm pretty well pleased with the system that I've got. So what I intend to do with this video, and I apologise now, like I said, if it is a long one. I'm going to show you everything that I did to make this system, and see what you think. Now, it is to some Heath Robinson. Oh, I guess to me it's Heath Robinson, but the joy I've had out of making it and getting it running and twiddling about and experimenting, it's been a joy to me as much as the drinking of the ale, I guess. So without no further ado, my system from start to finish. Now, as you can see, I've got a brew on at the moment, and let me go through the bits and bobs that I've got. So I've got my control box, which is an old speaker, a wooden speaker. I've got just simple on-off switches. I've got one for the hot liquor tank. I've got one for the mash, and what they do is just switch the battery. Just work on an old car battery, and I keep it charged up. They just switch either that pump or that pump on or off. I've also got this cestos, which I use to control the flow of the wort as it goes through there and into the mash tun. And then the top one there, that is the temperature probe that goes into the bottom of the mash tun, and all I've done is wrapped it round the piping at the bottom here. Okay, so the simple thing about the hot liquor tank is I will only put plain water. You'll have to excuse the dog. I'll only put plain water through this, so there's no dirty stuff to have to clean out. So all that does is circulate water. It goes through one pipe there and comes out at the bottom there. So all it's doing is circulating hot water through the hot liquor tank, and the reason I'm circulating it is so that we don't get any dead spots of cooler water at the bottom and hotter water at the top, because that is what heats the coil inside, and the coil inside is the Herms part of the system. So the Herms works by recirculating the liquor in the mash tun. So it starts at the bottom, it comes out of there, round there, into the filter and the motor, back through, up there again, into one side, into the Herms coil that's underneath, back out, and round it goes into the mash tun just there. Now in the mash tun I've just got a sprinkler system. I've not got the tube that whizzes round, I've just got the sprinkler system. Now the new addition to that is the fact that I've got control over this pump. It's, instead of going full blast, I've got a little knob here, variable resistor, that I can turn the pump higher or lower, and it's showing under there, look, I don't know whether you can see it, I've only just bought it, so I can control the flow. Now once the mash has been recirculated and kept at a constant temperature, I usually use 66 or 67 degrees, controlled by the cestos at the bottom. That's the controller. That controller switches a relay at the back that forces the plug on and off. You have to use a proper relay to do it, and it'll cut in the heater at the bottom of the boiler. So the only heat source for this particular stage is from that, and the heater element is underneath the if you like, the bottom of the pan. So there's no heater coil that I need to clean once, you know, it's not so bad on a boiler, but if it was on the mash tun, it'd have to be cleaned out, and heater elements are quite hard to clean. So because it's underneath, you don't have that problem. So this is the mashing phase at the moment, and I've got about another quarter of an hour of mashing, and then what I'm going to do then is simply undo that part of it there and lift it up and put it onto this part here, and what I'm going to do is drive water from the hot liquor tank. It's going to drive water through from there, and it'll go into this and push all the beer that's already in the coil out, and then it'll start sparging. So I'll show you when I start sparging what I mean and how I swap it over. So this part is the mashing part. Now I'm coming to the end of the mash, and I'll soon be doing the mash out, which what I do is raise the temperature to 78, 80 degrees, and swap things over, etc. But little tip, you see this here, I found this very useful. This is one of those Brewing the Bag bags, which fits exactly quite tightly on the top of the mash tun, and the reason I've got that is because it prevents any bits of grain going into the pump and buggering the pump up. Also, it makes it a doddle to clean, because what I can do is just lift the grain out in the bag and away it goes. I then use the bag again for the boil, and I introduce the hops into the bag, and because it's soaking wet already from being in the wort, it sinks quite well, and I put the hops in there at the different additions, which I'll show you later on. But this is an absolute godsend. I can't tell you how much easier it makes. You don't get any blockage at the bottom of the tank. You get a really nice flow of wort through the system, nice and clean. So well recommended. So I've not noticed any efficiency deviation either. That's a big word, isn't it? any road up, I'm about to lift the temperature up for mashing out, so I'll do that next. Also, another little tip, old cushions, whack them on the top of the tons or whatever, the boiler, etc. And this stuff is camping bed. I got it off Amazon, and it's really good. It's lasted ages, and I've just wrapped it round and secured it with a tie wrap, and it comes off easy. It's easy to wipe. I've had it well over a year now. It keeps the temperature pretty steady, so brilliant. Better put this back up. Yeah, so like I say, it does look a bit Heath Robinson, but who's worried about that? It's beer that we want. The third bucket there is the one that I do all the boiling in. And the beauty about having all these different ones, if an heater element goes, I can easily swap them round. I do not drill in any of the kettles or whatever they're bloody called, the tea urns. I've not done any drilling apart from the lids. I've not done on that one, but on the others, as you've seen, I've drilled holes in the top of the lids. But I've not ruined the integrity of any of the boilers. So when I've mashed out, I'll show you how I swap this tube and circulate the hot liquor and sparge. The other perk with the bag is that you can lift the bag off the bottom for any stuck mashes. Like I've got a lot of grain in this one. I've speeded it up, and it started to stick at the bottom, so I've just lifted the bag and give it a stir, and away it goes again. So your stuck mashes your stuck mashes are a thing of the past, and might have an effect on the clarity of it, but there you go. So at the moment then, I've raised it up to the mash, and I've moved my boiler down to the bottom, and it'll give you a chance to have a look at what I've got in the bottom of the boiler. I've just got a false bottom and the tube that goes to the tap outside, and that's all it is really, with the element underneath. It's not under the false bottom, it's under the actual bottom of the urn. So what I'll do is disconnect this, whack that up to here to start sparging, and this I'll just tinker about until I get a nice little trickle, if you like. Do it nice and slow, sparge it slow, and then once the motor stops spinning, this will level off to whatever position, and then I try to keep it at whatever position it is, if you like, by adjusting the flow of the pump. Well, that was a little bit noisy, but I've just completed the mash out. So now I'm going to take that from there, after switching that off, and place it on there. So that's complete. All I need to do now is put that on there to drain the mash. It's quite a long pole. The reason I've done that is so that it siphons all the liquor out of there, and I need to turn this part on here So it's going to let the water go down there and into the pump and back and through the coil, and it'll clean all the coil, getting all the beer out of the coil and down there. And I'm going to adjust the speed with this. I'll just turn it down for sparging, and then with the sight glass you can see I've got so many lines on the sight glass. Well, it's not a glass, it's just a bit of tubing, plastic tubing, but I'm going to try and keep it at that level all the while I'm sparging. Now all I need to do is to switch that off there to stop it going through the first pump and any contamination going into the pump, the beer, and switch off the HLT and switch on the mash. Now I can just control the mash by turning that. I better switch this back on because I still want it heating up for a little while. So I'll set up the camera so we can see what happens when I turn the adjuster on it. So let's try to adjust it. So we should get the beer coming out first. In fact, I'll switch that off for now. So that's the beer. I'll just speed it up for a bit. And then we get the clear sparge water. So it's doing two things really. I'll just turn it down to a gentle trickle. I think you're a bit steamed up, so it might not work. And just very gently, I think what I'll do, I'll empty a bit until it gets down to that level, and then just very gently control it. So I'm going to do a real slow sparge. So sparging. So I've just got to keep my eye on it and keep the level at exactly that level, and that should do nicely. I'll put the cushions on the top now later. Okay, so whilst I'm sparging, I've stopped the flow now, so this has really gone pale now, and I'm just going to get it to 28 litres, which is there maximum. It says on the recipe 27, so I'm going to go a little bit below the 28 litre mark. And whilst I was sparging, I'll switch the heater element onto the boiler to bring it up to the boil. So in the pot there, it's draining the grains, and what I shall do is just, we're steaming up again, is just lift the bag out, and then I'm just going to tip the grains into an old bucket flower bed thing over here, look, into this, and let it drain through that, and then I'll give it the man with the chickens over there. Yes, it's all good fun. So I'll just let it drain. So that's the last dribble of the out of the mash tun, and it's coming up to the boil. Perfect timing. Got to keep the eye on this. Okay, so emptied the grain and I'm just going to use this bag. The grain's been on the inside, so oops, I'm not worried about bits and bobs of grain in there, because it won't go into the water. And that's the outside. It's nice and wet. And then I'm just going to put the first edition in, ready for when it boils, and then drop the bag in. So I'll just leave that up there for a start. And wait for the boil. And as always have a squirter with water, prevent boilovers. And once it starts boiling, I'll take this to bits, give it a clean and show you what it's like. That's the mash tun. So boil, hops, clean, and I'll show you how that all fits together and cleans easily. Okay, so let me show you the mash tun and how it comes out after I've just done a brew. So I usually wash that. It should have had water going through it inside, so that should be clean, but I'll give the outside a good clean. And then in the mash tun itself, that's how it comes out, which is pretty good for a mash tun, I would have thought. And to clean it, I take that nut off there, which releases the tap. I sometimes boil the tap and everything to clean it all out. This just pulls off and washes separately. So I'll just release the tap and show you inside. Okay, once the tap's off, I'll just pull that off, and that just comes out, and I just give that a wipe down inside and out, which is easy to do. And I've already loosened this, so just unscrew that, give that a clean, and then inside here, gently get it out, and that's all you've got to clean out. And this part, I never tighten the nut on this, I just do it very, very loose. As I try to undo it one-handed. All comes to part. Now the thing is, with this false bottom, it fits exactly in the recess down there, look. How lucky was that? So there's no grain that gets by. And the pipe, all that is just, I don't know where that fitment come from. It's all from the hardware store. And that one there. And all I've got is a silicone washer, just one silicone washer, and I've used that for years, I guess, and it's never leaked. And just tighten it all up. And that's basically all the mash tun is. Let me just do a little run around of the Signet bucket. I bought it off Amazon. I've taken the handles off, I've taken all the handles off all of the buckets. Easier to clean, and there's no worry when I'm carrying it. It's got a thermostat which works very well. If you put it on number 5 or I, it'll give you a continuous boil. It came with a tap, a T-urn tap, which just take out. It has got a funny shaped hole, but the fittings that I've showed you, these just fit okay, dead on really, on the inside. So just tighten it up with the the grommet on the inside and it seals it solid. Never have any problems. Now on the bottom there's a reset button. If you leave the water, just press it, reset it. I've never had to do that yet. I think when I bought it, it didn't work, and I looked online and it says sometimes that button gets pressed by mistake when it's packaged or whatever, so I just reset it. And see how easy it is to clean, dead easy. No heater elements to go around, so no extra holes to drill. I've done that with all the buckets, so if one goes wrong I can just swap them round and they all work exactly the same. So I'll put this one back together and see how the boil's going. Also the fitting, when you put it back together just loosely, if you see it sticks out a little bit there, can you see? And what that does then, it drains all of the liquor from the bottom. Phone's ringing, so I better answer that. So that's the brew day done, and just got to wash this pot out now. So this is the boiler I've just brought in to give it a clean, and it's exactly the same makeup as the one I've just showed you, with a false bottom, and out front it comes but without the tube. So this is exactly the same, so I won't run through that again. I'll just take it to bits, give it a good clean and take it back out. Well, that's two items cleaned up, very simple to make, no problem at all, just a couple of false bottoms and a bit of plumbing, nothing to it. Right, now we come to this bit. I think this is the interesting bit really. The trying to get my head around this was a nightmare, and I've altered lots of plumbing detail on it. So what I'm going to do is dismantle it and I'll show you what I've done if it's of any interest. But for a start I'm going to drain the system. So on here, look, I've just got an on-off switch, and I'm just going to drain the tank. So there should be a little bit of hot water to do a bit of cleaning. Now, following this through, that is what I use for the sparge water, connecting to this, if you remember. And I've got the on-off switch there to control it, and the on-off switch there to stop it from going to the pump, which is down there, that circulates the clean water. So, where shall we start? It goes round in circles. So we'll start from this part. Yeah, we drained it now. So it goes down into the pump, through the filter, through that, back up here, and then through that pipe into the top, and then through the coil. No, telling you wrong, not through the coil. It spurts water out at different angles, and it circulates the water in there, and then it comes out of the bottom on here, down and round again. So it's just going round and round and round, circulating the water. And then this part, which I've already showed you, goes either from the mash tun into there, or from the hot water for sparging that way, and it goes again through the motor, up here, through the EMS coil, round and back. That's the sensor, heat sensor, and that's how I control the heat, and then it circulates around the top. So I'll just show you how I take the thing to bits. So first thing I'm going to do is undo the boiler outlet. It just goes into the tap where the tap used to be, and then undo that bit, and that bit, and then you'll need a jug to catch any water that comes out of there, and there's none, so that's handy. And then I'll just take this one off. And then again catch the water out of the Holmes coil. Oops, took a bit of water out of that. And undo the back pipe. And then it's ready just to lift off and away. Right, in here then is the coil. So I'll just move that out of the way for a second. So basically the pipe there, that's where the water, just the plain water, goes in and circulates round. And it comes out there and just spins water round the coil to save it from being dead, and then goes at the bottom there out of there and circulates round, and then that's the Holmes coil where it goes in that one and out that one. So that's fairly straightforward. In the bottom here, what I've done is needs a bit of a clean now, but I've put a bend in the bottom there so I can drain all of the water out so it siphons away. So I've only got a little dribble to get rid of at the end. So basically that's it. That's the kit. So I'll give this a wipe round and a clean, and speak later. One thing I did say about the temperature probe, well, there you go, look. I just loop it and tie it around the bottom of the pipe there, bag on the top, and away we go. Magnets on there. There we go. There's the sparge arm and the recirculator. Nice and easy to clean. I guess about 3/4 of an hour to give it a good clean. And then now and then I'll do a circulating, sanitising stuff, whatever. Any road up. That's that bit done. Well, I guess that was the longest video I have ever done, and I'm sorry that it may have been boring to a lot of you who've already switched off long before you've been watching this, that's for certain sure. My bloody hair, got to get that cut next. Any road up, it's one of the videos I wanted to do just to explain to anybody who's interested my setup, and like I said at the beginning it is a little bit Heath Robinson, but it works and does the job, and I suppose it's evolved over a couple of 2.5 years, I guess. But to me, that's the fun in brewing, is learning. You can't whack a bit of learning, guys. Any road up. Thanks for watching the old fart. If you like my channel, subscribe please, and thumbs up, and thanks very much for watching.